Donald Trump is panicking as MAGA leaders and MAGA influencers are turning against him en masse over his disastrous war against Iran, as these MAGA influencers are publicly taking Donald Trump to task and calling him out for his betrayal. Donald Trump gave an interview to Rachel Bade where Trump said, "I think MAGA is Trump. MAGA is me. MAGA is not them. MAGA wants to see our country thrive. Be safe. MAGA loves what I'm doing. Every aspect of it. Iran, that is a detour that we have to take to keep our country safe and to keep other countries safe." Frankly, regarding Megyn Kelly, who was very loudly and vocally against Donald Trump today. And, she just goes wherever the wind blows. So, and she's been a MAGA sycophant recently. Donald Trump goes, she needs to study her history book a little bit. She always criticizes me. She needs to study history more. With Tucker Carlson's criticism, Donald Trump says, that has no impact on me. And he goes on to say, they always come back. The panickins need to relax. They need to stop panicking. Okay, let me show you what was going down, though. Megyn Kelly intentionally brings on Marjorie Taylor Greene. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is someone that Donald Trump calls Marjorie traitor. Donald Trump despises her. Donald Trump has encouraged death threats against her and all of these, horrible things that she's called him out for. And Marjorie Taylor Greene just does this takedown of Donald Trump with Megyn Kelly, where Marjorie Taylor Greene's Donald Trump's out there on cameras saying that he's not going to get to heaven, and he keeps saying that he's never going to make it to heaven. And she's like, she goes, what the F is wrong with this guy? What the F is wrong with him? Here, play this clip.
And then we have the president, who, by the way, Megyn, this really needs to be said. Donald Trump has said repeatedly on camera and in interviews, he doesn't think he's going to heaven. Well, I want to ask a question, a serious question. What is in his mind? What is his mental state? If he doesn't think he's going to heaven, and he is a man towards the end, he's in the fourth quarter, he's towards the end of his life. How does that pan out for the rest of us when we have a president of the United States who doesn't think and is convinced he's not going to heaven? What does that mean his decision making is? He already said to the New York Post today that he doesn't care about the polling. He doesn't care about what the American people think, and he may put troops on the ground. He took this is going to be a few-day war, to now it's going to be maybe 4 weeks or more. I want to say, what is happening to the man that I supported, you supported, the man that denounced what happened in Iraq, the man that said no more foreign wars, no more regime change, promise it on the campaign. J.D. Vance promised it. Tulsi Gabbard promised it. All of them promised it. And we're a year in, and we're in another fucking war, and we've got American troops being killed. I think it's time for America to rip the Band-Aid off, and we need to have a serious conversation about what the fuck is happening to this country, and who in the hell are these decisions being made for, and who is making these decisions.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene says the following about Donald Trump and Hegseth. Let's play it.
And Pete Hegseth said this morning, Megyn, he said that we didn't start this war. But I hate to argue with the Secretary of the Department of War. America and Israel definitely started this war, and you can't lie that away to the American people. And so, you know how I feel right now? I am irate. I am furious about this. We are nearly $40 trillion in debt. How much is this war going to cost us? We have seen enough of our American troops dead and murdered for foreign countries. And now we've had 4 dead and murdered, just like you said, for Israel and for the Iranian people, not for the American people. And I don't want to see any more dead and murdered.
I mean, folks, even MAGA sycophant Benny Johnson, you don't get much more of a MAGA sycophant than Benny Johnson. Here's what he has to say.
We are the ones doing the attacking. Trump saying that they've sunk effectively all of the Iranian fleet. U.S. air bases, though, are hit in Qatar. Obviously, you could see that there are embassies under attack. So the law of unintended consequences here, man. Pray for stabilization. Pray for peace. That's why we advocate so firmly for America First policies on this program. This is the question for the administration. can you convince and sell to the American people that this is an America First policy?
Next, you have podcaster Dave Smith, libertarian, who famously said, "I'm voting for Donald Trump in the 2024 election." He and his guests are like, Donald Trump is weak. He's stupid. He goes into shit blind. Here's what they have to say about Donald Trump. Let's play this clip.
One of the problems here is that Donald Trump has now created an incentive structure. And I got to say, this is just simply, this was the Israelis' plan. And they're just much smarter than Donald Trump. And so they were able to con him into this. Donald Trump, one of the major problems with Donald Trump is that he's weak and he's stupid. You know, these are real issues. He doesn't know anything. He goes into this shit blind, convinced that he's a genius who knows more than everyone else.
Now, here was Megyn Kelly's takedown of Donald Trump, where she goes, no one should have to die for a foreign country. I don't think those service members died for the United States. I think they died for Iran or for Israel. Here, play this clip.
Look, there are massive divisions over what we've done here, and people are going to change their minds over the coming days and weeks, one way or the other. But my own feeling is no one should have to die for a foreign country. I don't think those 4 service members died for the United States. I think they died for Iran or for Israel. I think I understand how this helps Iran perfectly well. I get it. I mean, I hope. Long term, we'll see. But they seem rather jubilant. 80% of the country does not support the Ayatollah. He was a terrible, terrible man. No one's crying that he's dead. No normal person. But our government's job is not to look out for Iran or for Israel. It's to look out for us. And this feels very much to me like it is clearly Israel's war. Mark Levin wanted it. It's his war. Ben Shapiro, Lindsey Graham, Miriam Adelson. That's obvious. They're the ones who've been pushing us into.
And then you had Marco Rubio giving that press conference where he admitted the reason that we attacked Iran. He said, we did it from a defensive, offensive posture. What the hell does that mean? He said, we knew that Israel was going to attack Iran regardless. And if Israel attacked Iran, Iran would attack us. So therefore, we had to attack Iran with Israel because we would have been attacked. Why would you not just call up Israel and say, if that's the case, we don't have your back? Why wouldn't you stand up for American sovereignty here? Why wouldn't you stand up for the American people and for, trying to get a peace deal? Why wouldn't you do that? Look, I'm not going to play a long clip here of this because I don't want to platform Nick Fuentes very long, but I'll show you like 15 seconds of what he said. So he goes, vote for Democrats. He goes, if you're a Republican or if you're a MAGA, either don't vote for any of these Republicans or vote Democrats. Shut them down. This is Nick Fuentes saying that. Play this clip.
What does this administration do other than cover up the Epstein files, embezzle money through government contracts, and bring us to war for Israel? This administration needs to be shut down immediately. Do not vote in the midterms. And if you do, vote for Democrats.
Then you have MAGA sycophant Matt Walsh. Who's a bigger MAGA sycophant than Matt Walsh? Maybe Benny Johnson? And he said, just the idea that we're obligated to believe that because Trump did it, it's a good move. We're supposed to say now it makes sense that we invade Iran. Wasn't our whole thing we don't do that? Even Matt Walsh is saying it here. Play this clip.
Now, however much trust you may have in Donald Trump and his administration, this is the reality he must contend with. It's perfectly reasonable for Americans to be skeptical of regime change wars in the Middle East. We can hear all day long, this is totally different from Iraq. It's totally different. Okay. I mean, so you claim. But Trump himself was skeptical of regime change wars in the Middle East. And the idea that we're obligated to just assume it's a good move because Trump decided to do it is asinine, not to mention un-American. And that's especially true since at the moment, powerful voices in the conservative movement are calling for a long war in Iran which is explicitly contrary to what most of Trump's voters want.
More from Matt Walsh right here.
We are right now staring down the possibility of another indefinite conflict in the Middle East, one that could cost trillions of dollars, result in the deaths of more Americans. How many? We don't know. And in the end, accomplish nothing. It won't necessarily turn out that way, but certainly could. And to me, based on what we know right now, that does not seem to be a risk worth taking. It's a major risk. The downside is extraordinarily high. To me, it does not seem worth taking.
And how about Caroline Sunshine? You know, the MAGA sycophant who's always on Fox saying the most North Korea-esque pro-Trump things. Even she said this.
But again, I just, if I can, just read this quote from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff today at his press conference. He said, "This is not a single overnight operation. The military objectives we've been tasked with will take some time to achieve, and in some cases will be difficult and gritty work. We expect to take additional losses. We will work to minimize U.S. losses, but this is a major combat operation." I voted for President Trump and I worked for President Trump because I didn't want to hear statements like that from my government again regarding American involvement in the Middle East. And I just think that's important to be clear about.
More from Sunshine right here. Play this clip.
What do you think about that?
And the real question also is, are any of those objectives in the direct national interest of the United States and of the American people?
Yep.
Or is this going to become another regime change war that the American people rejected and did not vote for? If they wanted that, they would not have voted for Donald Trump as many times as they have and put him in the Oval Office. Iran is a country that is 4 times the size of Afghanistan. It has a decentralized fighting force that is much more complex and widespread than Afghanistan. And I think the administration going forward needs to be very clear with the American people about what its objectives and timelines are. 6 months ago, the American people were told that we use B-2 bunker buster bombs to completely obliterate and destroy Iran's nuclear program. And anybody that said otherwise was fake news. Now we've been told that we've somehow in those 6 months, they were able to restart the program. Now we're told that we've completely destroyed it again. We're told that we've taken out, 49 leaders who were on the chessboard to replace the Ayatollah. And the president has been very clear saying to the people of Iran, I intervened and now I'm leaving it to you. So my question then to the administration, and I think it's the question that a lot of American people, certainly under 35 have, is if all of that has been done, why are we still there? Because we've lost 6 U.S. service members at our bases in the Middle East, and I don't think the American people are going to have a very high tolerance for losing more U.S. soldiers unless those objectives are very clear and those timelines are very clear, and it's made clear how it is in the direct interest of the American people.
And right-wing MAGA sycophant Cernovich, he goes, Rubio said what he said. The White House posted his comments. No sense in the spin some are attempting. It won't work. Only burns credibility, which is at an all-time low. Rubio said what he said. He said it very clearly. Not only that, he said it multiple times. He said the reason we went to war with Iran, go back, I've played it 100 times in videos. The reason we went to war with Iran, Rubio said, is because Israel was going to strike Iran regardless of what we did. So we had to strike Iran first. That was a direct quote from him. By the way, you have Trump's chief propagandist, Caroline Leavitt. She's out there calling out MAGA influencer Matt Walsh. And Matt Walsh is like, I'm not a MAGA influencer. As Dasha Burns says, White House press secretary responding to conservative influencer Matt Walsh, who is among many right-wing voices questioning the administration's actions in Iran. I have heard repeated warnings from Republican sources that the White House needs to do more to get MAGA on side. Then Matt Walsh posted the following message. I can't take the gaslighting, guys. I really can't. Conservatives are now running around saying Iran has been waging war on us for 47 years. Okay, then why didn't any of you call for an attack on Iran at any point until now? Why didn't you make a case for Trump ending the war, not starting it until precisely the moment when Trump did it? You and I both know that you are latching on to talking points you never used until 45 seconds ago. You and I both know that almost every conservative influencer in the business was opposed to the war with Iran until just now. And now you're trying to use justification that stretched back decades. It doesn't make any sense. If you changed your mind, fine, say so. Explain why. You're allowed to change your mind. I've changed my mind about things, but don't try to rewrite history. Be honest about it. There's too much at stake to play these games. The gaslighters are responding with more gaslighting. Yes, I'm well aware that neocons have been calling for an Iran invasion forever. I obviously wasn't talking about them. I'm referring to MAGA conservatives, America Firsters, Trump base, the people I talk to every single day. Attacking Iran was not a policy priority for them, and many were expressly against it. Trying to rewrite that history now is just grotesque, insulting our intelligence. Make your case for this operation, but just be honest. Come on. And that's coming from Walsh right there. I can go on and read more and more and more about this, but read you more about this, but there you have it. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers.
New Midas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.